Hi, welcome to week 4, and I have a few reflections on week 3 before we start going into what you have to do for week 4. The first part of this week was really about reflection, and you were given a couple of pieces of reflection to look at, and I thought the feedback that you gave about the reflections was very good. You identified the learning outcomes extremely well and made some comments about the personal development that you saw, particularly in the reflection which was about the basketball. Now some more general points about reflection itself. First of all, one of the things about reflection is that this needs to be taught and that you need to have time to teach it. Remember, reflection is a process rather than a product, and it's taught, not caught. And one of the key things I think about reflection is that we're really talking not about a product, a piece of writing or a piece of video, but a process that students are actually going through. And I think to highlight that we need to provide the students with a variety of different ways of actually reflecting on their experiences. And also, one of the things we need to do is we also need to create the mood that reflection should be carried out in. And I think that's very important, particularly when we're teaching it. I think one of the most important parts of reflection from the student's point of view and from yours is actually the 3 compulsory interviews, which are not really mentioned that much in this particular workshop. But if we think about the first of these interviews really being about getting to know the student and for them to establish a profile of themselves and come up with a plan, that normally starts about 6 to 8 weeks into the diploma program. The second interview, to my way of thinking, should be done towards the end of the first year and should really be a chance to look at where the student is now and to see that they've actually planned a project at that stage. So for me, this would happen towards the end of the first year. And then lastly, the last interview for Cass is that we're trying to see in that last interview that the student provides evidence of actually having met all the requirements of the course and demonstrated that they have actually met the learning outcomes for Cass. And I think this is where our own questioning technique is really important and something we need to develop. I also think this last interview is really important because it should give the kids a feel-good feeling about having done Cass. It's another one of the milestones in doing the diploma. So they should be able to reflect on that in some depth about their achievements. Moving on, one other thing that came up in this week was about projects. And let's be clear about what a project is. First of all, it can be in any one of the 3 strands of Cass. Secondly, from start to finish, it should be at least a month. Thirdly, it must involve some collaboration. Some of the suggestions that were presented in the projects were very much individual experiences rather than collaborative ones. And collaboration is a key part of the project for Cass. So that's something that's worth thinking about. There were some good examples of potential projects from the rubbish collection ideas which evolved into advocacy about the use of plastic, the idea of putting on a play with younger children, with directing the play, was also a good idea from memory. And there were lots of suggestions about students either preparing for a marathon or a fun run of some sort. All of those were really good suggestions. But we need to be clear about what the the project's offering, is this opportunity, particularly for students to initiate and plan things. With this in mind, I think one needs to be very careful when we're offered package CAS weeks or activities by commercial companies. We need to be really sure that we're getting what we want, and particularly the service aspect of it is not just a token one. Okay, so now let's move on to week 4. Week 4 gives you the chance, first of all, if your school's about to be authorised, to actually complete the authorisation form, and I would give you feedback on that from my experience of the process. The other opportunity is to do a SWOT analysis of where CAS is in your school at the moment and what opportunities there are for developing it. In addition to that, an activity this week is to ask some questions about the procedures that you're expected to follow as a CAS coordinator, particularly in relation to the demands of the IB. And one of those clear ones is what do we do when making a decision about whether a student's passed or failed CAS. All right, then rather a tricky thing is that one of the things we're asking you to do then is to actually write with a group of others a CAS portfolio. Now this means to actually list the activities that the students actually have done and their CAS project, and put down some of the things that you would expect to see as evidence. So this requires a bit of imagination on your part. It's meant to be practical to make you think about what a CAS portfolio would look like at the conclusion. And the last activity for the week is this. It's really about making sure that we try to make some links between the subjects and CAS as an experience for them. So this is really about, in some ways, about developing a sense of service learning, which links academic skills and knowledge to service activities. I'm really looking forward to your posts this week, and as you would have realised, I've done my best to respond to as many of your posts as possible, but it's impossible to react to absolutely everyone. And it's been pleasing to see that you've been making comments on each other's posts. So I think that's very important. Okay, well look, I'm looking forward to your posts for this week, and have a good week. Take care. Bye-bye.